Welcome back everyone. In today's tutorial I'm going to cover how to make an architectural annotative template file. Alright, this will be a startup file for any type of architectural drawings that you're going to be doing in the future. Alright, so let's get started. I'm going to come up to File, New, which is up here on the Quick Access toolbar, and once I click that I'm going to grab the acad.dwt template file. Alright, and you'll notice this gives it a new drawing name called Drawing 8. Alright, once we're done with this template file, we're going to save it back into the template folder once we've completed all of our settings. Alright, so the first setting that we want to change is the units. So we're going to come up to the large A application menu. We'll come down to Drawing Utilities, and I'm going to pick on Units. And you'll notice here that the units are decimal, and we're going to change that to architectural. I'm also going to change the precision to 1/32 of an inch. I'm going to keep the angle at decimal degrees, and I'm going to keep the insertion scale at inches. Alright, so that's pretty much what we have to have for settings for units. I'm going to pick OK. Alright, the next thing that I want to change is the limits, or my drawing area. Alright, so I'm actually going to type the word limits on the command line. And you'll notice that the default bottom left corner of the limits is 0, 0. So I'm going to do an enter to accept that because it's in greater than, less than brackets. And the upper right corner here is only 1 foot by 9 inches. Now I want to change that to a space that would be good for maybe like a floor plan of a house. So I need at least 40 or 50 feet visible for a drawing area. So I'm going to change this to 50 feet, comma 50 feet, and I'm going to do an enter there. And when I'm done, to go to those limits, I would do a zoom all. So I'm just going to do Z, enter, A, enter, and that brings the screen approximately to 50 feet by 50 feet, give or take a few feet. Alright, so now that I have my limits set, the next thing that I'm going to have to do is create a few layers for my architectural template file. So I'm going to come up to the Layer Manager, and notice we only have layer 0 here. So I'm going to come up to this icon here, which creates a new layer, and I'm going to start off with the wall layer. So I'll just type in wall. I'm going to give the wall layer a color of red. Walls are usually continuous lines, but they do have a fairly heavy line weight, so I'm going to go up to a 24, which is 0.024. I'm going to make one more layer that shows you how to load a line type. So I'm going to make a layer called dashed, and I'm going to make my dashed lines color 8, which is a dark gray, and on the line type, I need a dashed line, so I'm going to have to load that line type into this on deck area. So I'm going to pick load, and I'm going to come down here to where it actually says dashed, and I do like the dashed that is half the size. It shows a lot more dashes, so I'm going to pick dashed 2, make that the current selection, and that current selection will come out here to the line type. Okay, here we have an example of the layers that I'm going to start off with. Okay, so I'm going to close that, and if you notice, if you look in our layer pull down, there are our architectural layers that we have for our template file. So now that the layers are completed, I'm going to come up to this annotation panel, and I'm going to pick on the text style. Let's start with the text style right here. Alright, and I'm going to make a new text style, so I'm going to pick the new button, and I'm going to call this Stylus BT and pick OK, because that is a text style that I like for architectural drawings. So I'm going to come over here to the font, and I'm actually going to look for that same font name, and I'm going to come down here to the text height. I'm going to make my text height 3/32. That's very common for architectural drawings. And I'm going to make this annotative. And if you check that box right there, you'll notice that this annotative symbol comes up. Okay, let's pick apply. I'm going to close that. Okay, so now we're ready to work on our dimension style. And if we come up to the ribbon under the annotation pull down panel and we click on that, we'll notice that there is a symbol with a paintbrush and a dimension on it. So we're just going to pick on that. And what we're going to do is we're going to modify this dimension style that's called Annotative. So I'm going to come over here to pick Modify. And I'll start with the very first tab, which is Lines. The two settings that we're going to change in here is this Extend Beyond Dimension Lines and Offset from Origin. Alright, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to change both of these to have a distance of 1/8 inch. So I'm going to just type in 0.125 and it updates to 1/8 inch. And these two settings are for the gap between the dimension and the object, and the other setting is for the line that comes off of the dimension line, how long the extension line extends there. Alright, under symbols and arrows, you want to make sure that you have obliques if you prefer instead of arrowheads. That gives you that slashed line look instead of an arrowhead. And the arrowhead size, again, I'm going to swipe this and make it 1/8 inch. Okay. Under text, I'd like it to be the same text style that we just created. So I'm going to pull this standard down and I'm going to pick Stylus BT. And you'll notice here that the text height grayed out because we have it set at 3/32 in our text style. Okay. Down here underneath text placement, instead of centered, it will be above the dimension line. And instead of every piece of text being horizontal, we're going to bullet align with the dimension line. So now each piece of text aligns. Okay, on to the Fit tab. Under the Fit tab, you want to make sure that this annotative box is checked. And now to Primary Units tab. Under the Primary Units tab, we would like our dimensions to show architectural dimensions, which would be feet and inches. Here you can set the precision of the dimension to perhaps either a 1/16 or 1/8 inch. That should be fine. Okay, and then down here at the bottom, it's up to you if you want to suppress seeing 0 feet or 0 inches on your dimensions. Okay, so I'm going to pick OK there, and I'm going to pick Set Current. And now our annotative dimension style is set. We only have one more style that we have to change, and that's our Multileader Style. Okay, so again, I'm going to come back up to the ribbon, and Multileader Style has this balloon looking leader with a paintbrush. So let's click on that. And again, we're going to go to Annotative, but I'm going to rename this. So I'm going to right click and pick Rename, and I'm going to call it Leader Anno for short. Okay. Alright, so let's go pick Modify, and we'll start again at the beginning with the first tab. With the first tab underneath arrowheads, I'd like my arrowheads to be the same size as they are in dimension style, so that would be 1/8 inch. Under leader structure, I do want a 2-pick for the leaders, and it makes a small landing. Down here is the landing distance, and I'm going to change that to be 0.25, which is 1/4 inch, and our scale as usual is annotative. Let's come over to Content, and under the Content tab, under Text Style, I'm going to change this to Stylus BT. Again, the height is grayed out because the height is attached to that text style. And then down here at the bottom, the landing gap, I will also make 0.25. Oh no, I'm sorry. The landing gap I will keep small. The landing gap, let's keep that at 3/32. Okay, let's pick OK there, and I'm going to set current. Alright, so it looks like now if I go back up to the Annotation tab, I have my annotative text style, my annotative dimension style, and my annotative leader style all set to go. All right, so that should feel good. That was probably a good chunk of the setup finished with. Now all we have to worry about is getting our title block into a layout tab. All right, so we have our two layout tabs down here. So I'm going to go to layout 1, and I'm going to pick close on the page setup manager for the moment. And here we have a blank piece of paper with a viewport in the middle. I'm in paper space, and the edges of the viewport live in paper space, the very edges. So I'm going to actually grip that edge, and I'm going to hit delete, and I'm going to delete the viewport for now because I'm going to create another one after I put my title block in. Okay, so I like to copy and paste a title block that I made in another drawing. So I'm going to go to over here to the quick access toolbar, and I'm going to open that drawing that has the title block in it. So let's go to open. And here is my A-size title block, so I'm going to pick on that and pick open. Okay, so now I have two drawings open. So what I'd like to do is tile them vertically and get them side by side so I can copy and paste the title block into my prospective architectural template file. So on the ribbon, if I go to the View tab, you will see over here on the end where there's a panel called Windows, there's something here called Tile Vertically. So I'm going to pick on that. And when I pick on Tile Vertically, it takes the two open drawings. Make sure your drawings are expanded, opened all the way, and it puts them side by side. Okay, so here the drawing on the right is my prospective template file. It will be eventually. And here the drawing on the left is the drawing that I had created a border in. All right, so with this drawing on the left being active, notice this blue bar up here is darker. This is the active drawing. I'm going to go back to my home tab on the ribbon, and I'm going to come over here to where it says clipboard, and I'm going to pick this copy icon, and I'm going to come over here. It's asked me to select object, so I'm going to select the whole border. And then I'm going to do a right click, which is an enter. All right, and that has now copied the drawing onto the clipboard. I'm going to pick over here where it says drawing 8. Now this is the active drawing. I'll come back up to the clipboard, and I'm going to pick on paste. Okay, and here comes my border, and I'm just going to line it up with the lower left corner of the paper, the outside line, because the outside line represents the size of the paper. There we go. All right, now here is my border, and if we have a, I'm going to keep that on layer 0. If you have a title block layer created, you can grip that and force it onto the title block layer. All right. I'm done with this drawing here, so I'm going to actually close this drawing, and I'm going to open and expand this one up all the way. All right, so now I can create a viewport. So the first thing I'm going to do is make the viewport layer current, and I'm going to go over here to the View tab on the ribbon. Here we go. All right, this pull down right here will give me a rectangular viewport. So let's pick on rectangular viewport, and all I have to do after I pick that is pick the two inside corners of the border. Okay, and now that has placed a viewport inside of my border. Okay, so now to toggle between being inside the viewport and outside the viewport, you just want to double click. So I'm going to double click inside the viewport. And when that happens, you should notice that down here on the status bar it says model, which means that the viewport is active, which means I can zoom and pan and touch the drawing in model space. And when I double click outside the viewport, you should notice the status bar now says paper. And now I am in paper space, and I'm able to make changes to the title block or any type of entities that are in paper space. All right, so let's go back to model, and let's go back to our home tab on the ribbon. I'm going to make the wall layer the current layer. I'm going to do a zoom all again to make sure I'm at my default limits. And it looks like we're ready to save this. Okay, so let's go up to, on the quick access toolbar, there is a save as button, which looks like a small disk with a pencil. So I'm going to pick on that, which is save as. And we want to save this in our template folder. So I'm going to pull down files of type, and I'm going to pick on Autocad drawing template.dwt, and that will automatically change the folder at the top to go to the template folder. Okay, and now in here I can give it a name. So I'm going to call it 1 Architecture Anno underscore template. Okay, so we do that, we pick save, and I'm just going to pick OK here on the description. And if you look at the title bar at the very, very top of the screen, you'll notice that it saved it as 1 Architecture Anno template. All right, so now when you go to use this file, what you're going to do is you're actually going to do File New, so it keeps the template file protected as opposed to File Open. Okay, so I'm going to do that right now. I'm going to close this drawing now that it's already been saved, and I'm going to show you how to use it. So when we're ready to use it, we will just go up to File New. When we say File New, we're going to find our 1 Architecture Anno template right here at the top. We're going to pick Open. And now notice I am in Drawing 9. Okay, so our template file is safe when we say File New. Okay, and I'm able to use any of the layers I want. I have all the styles that I've created, and everything is here to start a new drawing. All right, I hope that helps. Hope that helps you get started with architectural drawings and having a good startup file to use. Thanks for watching. Until the next tutorial, I'm Chris Dennis, and stay tuned and keep learning AutoCAD.